Good evening and welcome here to Friday night Dirt Night, week number 5 here on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive. Our overlay software, as you can tell, is not being very nice. Thank you for that, ATVO. Let's see if I can get that all good and fixed up here in just a moment. And there we go. This should fix it. Welcome to week number 5 as the iRacing Dirt Midget Cup is going to kick things off for us here from Limaland. We're then going to move over to Global Rallycross and USAC 360s. I can tell that the schedule is a little bit wonky. There's been some changes over the course of the season, but don't worry about that as events start working their way through. Qualifying currently underway as Austin Selman is currently on the pole in qualifying here in the midgets. Currently looking at the number 9 of Derek Rouse. John Becker currently owes us a lap time. Let's see what he can do as he's going to come to the end of his first lap right now. So Limaland, of course, quarter-mile bull ring here in iRacing, the first quarter-mile track that we have, the only quarter-mile track that we have. And I do agree, Left and Rock, that GRC at Limaland would be interesting. Had a little bit of a weird lockup there with our overlay software that caused that, so sorry about that. But regardless, 12 cars will be bringing home the action tonight. And as qualifying is done and over with, let's take a look at our starting grid for heat race number 1. And I make the same mistake that I make every single time as Austin Semmelman is going to be bringing them to green here. Cam Holla on the outside of that front row. Dave Heileman, Blaine Bever, Bruce Jones, and Ricky Gerhardt will be the 6 drivers who take this one. It's just going to be me today for the USAC stuff. Kris Hohn got hung up at work. So for that reason, you guys just get to deal with me. New World Sinsport BMW making another appearance onto the broadcast. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you forget to click run as administrator before you launch ATVO. So pace truck rolls off. Cars getting themselves out there onto the field. Semmelman is definitely looking to be quick. See him in that accelerated machine. Black car on the inside. The red, white, and black Trump car is going to be rolling around on the outside. Cam Holla, no comment. Then you get Heileman, Blaine Bever. Then, of course, Bruce Jones and Ricky Gerhardt. Now, I'm sure those who have been paying attention thus far, things have been relatively, let's say, shaky in the midgets. For those who are unaware of the format, 2 8-lap heat races. The top 6 will transfer. Then a 20-lap feature. Everyone is going to be in the feature. There's only 12 cars, so don't need to worry about it being main. But 8 laps on the board for this first heat race, and it's going to be the one of Austin Selman who brings them to green. And we are racing here in Friday Dirt Night, week number 5, 2018 season 2. Selman picks up a good opening gap. See Cam Holla, he's fighting, I think, with the 2 of David Heileman. Indeed, he was. Those 3 are all relatively close, running in the middle groove on the racetrack. The racetrack looks very, very clean, very tacky right now. So a lot of potential grooves to run. Seeing the middle is going to be the place where you want to be at the moment. As we go off towards corners number 3 and 4. And coming to the beginning of lap number 3 of 8, the laps tick down relatively quickly here on these little quarter-mile tracks. Look a little bit deeper in the field. You see Blaine Bever and Bruce Jones. They're fighting right now for that 4th spot. Everyone really just duking it out over qualifying positions right now, getting starting spots for that main event. It's down now the front straightaway. They come once again. The lead is out to 0.7 of a second. Austin Semmelman starting to get a hang of these little cars. They're going to go around for the 5th time here in the 8-lap first heat race here tonight. Everyone's relatively spread out. No fights up and down the field. Everything's just sort of calm at the moment. I think everyone knows that with this being a qualifying race, they just want to start as best as they can. Don't want to push too hard, potentially make a mistake. 2 laps remaining in this first heat race. Austin Selman has led all 8 thus far. So in towards 3 and 4 for the penultimate time, and then black number 1 machine from VLR of Austin Semmelman. He's going to head down in towards corners number 1 and 2. Going to try the top side, see what that's like. Then down the back straightaway for the final time. Cam Holla gets a piece of the wall, but going to be all right overall. With the number 1 machine of Austin Semmelman. He's going to be the race winner here in heat race number 1. And let's take a look at your post-race results. Or not. and we'll take a look at your starting grid for heat race number 2 as that gets ready to get set here in just a moment. It's going to be Jason O'Jude on that front row with Eric Violet in second, Jake Melvin, John Hess, and Derek Rouse and John Becker. Now, Cameron Walsh, that's a good question, Elliott. I guess Thels Elliott? Thelsiot? I'll try to say it in one word. Well, Kris Hohn normally joins me for these, but he's away at work, not really sure where Cam is. Asked if he was available and didn't get an answer. It's possible he has family stuff going on. It happens. So because of that, I get to be solo for the USAC stuff. Apologize for that, as I know that I am completely unbearable. But it was a relatively boring first heat race. Not a lot of action in that one. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if things get a little bit dicey. The main events for these cars have been a little bit shaky. I think everyone knows, a lot of caution laps that have been being run. I know a lot of people have been asking for a different series to be switched to, and for anyone that's watching, potentially interested in that series getting switched out for this one, it is being considered. Right now, field's going to work themselves in towards corners number 3 and 4, and that number 4 car, black, yellow, and red, he's going to lead us off to green flag racing. We are green here at Limaland, heat race number 2. See one car way up the racetrack. That was Eric Violet. Got very loose, slid way up, and he goes from running second to last. Lap 1 of 8 gets scored in the books as Jason O'Jude is going to continue to lead the way. Second place driver is now going to be Jacob Melvin, with John Hess cycling into third, Derek Rouse in fourth. Then Eric Violet, John Becker rounding out the 6-car field in heat race number 2. 2 laps already scored complete. Once again, quarter-mile racetrack here at Limaland. Things get very, very slick. Yeah, we know, Christopher. We're going to update that. Don't worry. Not sure what happened with the schedules. Things got shooken up on us for some reason, but Jason O'Jude is still out in front with Jacob Melvin. See him get a little bit too sideways. That's going to bring in the 10 here of John Hess. So that fight for second might pick up here as we're over halfway in heat race number 2. So 3 laps remaining, and Jason O'Jude is still well and truly clear. Closest fight is here for second place. That's John Hess and Jacob Melvin. Third and second, the 10 green car is John Hess, Derek Rouse. Not very far back and forth. See the 10 machine make a little bit of a mistake. And just as I mentioned him, Derek Rouse catches a commentator curse, and he gets sent around facing the wrong way, and he's going to be pretty much the last finisher in this heat race. But out in front, Jason O'Jude, much like Austin Selman in the first heat race, he's going to lead every single lap here at Limaland in heat race number 2. And he's going to take home the win, and we'll get a fantastic starting position because of it. Rest of your results coming up on screen. Jason O'Jude, Jacob Melvin, John Hess, Eric Violet, John Becker, Derek Rouse, the 6 cars, and the order they will transfer to the main event. So let's go down and take a quick peek at our starting grid for the feature event. Austin Selman and Jason O'Jude will be bringing him to green here from the front row, with Cam Holla as well as Jacob Melvin starting in that second row. Row number 3 is going to go to John Hess and Blaine Bever, with Eric Violet, Bruce Jones, John Becker, Ricky Gerhart, Derek Rouse. They're going to round out the tail end of the field here in Friday Dirt Night for the iRacing Midget Cup. So a relatively small grid of cars as the field gets set and gets ready to go. So off now, the cars are going to roll down the back straightaway for the first of 2 pace laps. Says pace lap number 1 in the books, and getting ready to get these guys set and going racing. Austin Selman has been strong in these midgets. He's been very, very good. Let's see if he can keep up that sort of pace over the course of this event tonight, or when the track slickens up, if he will have issues. Pace truck comes down to the safety of pit road. Austin Selman wastes no time. We are green for 20 laps at the bull ring here at Limaland to the 4 of Jason O'Jude. He already has a big margin to try to pick up. Austin has already roared off into the sunset. Lap number 1 getting scored complete. You see the fight is on for 5th right now. This is the 10 down on the bottom, fighting with the 3 of Jacob Melvin. Also have the 6 of Cam Holla getting involved in this fight as well. So 3 car scrap for 3rd. Jason O'Jude is still trying to reel in race leader Austin Selman. He brought it in by a little bit last time, but not very much. You see a little bit of a hiccup there from the 10 machine. Cars still trying to fight here. People getting relatively spread out. Right now we're watching Jacob Melvin. John Hess is in the mix. Cam Holla in that 6 out in front. He was involved in this fight. Car in the wall behind. They're going to go 3 wide in the middle of the field. You saw the 2 cars there, David Heileman, and a big wheel stand there on the inside. 3 wide for a couple moments. That was the 8 of Eric Violet. You see him pick up the front wheels. Replay of that coming up on screen. So a big wheelie there from Violet. As we're going to go back to live pictures, and caution ends up coming out. We'll try to figure out what for here in just a moment. As I believe it may have been Derek Rouse. We're going to replay of that to confirm. And indeed it was. Replay doesn't quite catch the incident itself. You see it's sort of behind where we had that driver of Violet picking up the front wheels. Let's see what ends up happening to him though. A little bit of contact in front, and then through corners number 3 and 4. Oh, you see what happened there. The number 5 car is one who got into it. That was Bruce Jones who got into that one and pretty much got into Derek, sent him around. As Derek is going to stay out on the racetrack, he's going to go to the back of the field. But we are approaching half distance in this one. Not a large lap count, so getting these cautions is always a bit of a bummer. So these guys are going to work themselves out there, and we are going to go back to green flag racing here at Limaland. As the one of Austin Selman gets back onto it, Cam Holla, he's going to work the top side. Not to do it just yet, but Austin Selman has done a good job, and he has a big gap already. The 4 machine of Jason O'Jude well and truly behind, but it's going to be Cam Holla and Jacob Melvin in the close fight for 3rd place. You also see him scrapping for 5th. That's Heileman and John Jess behind, and the 10 machine of John Jess is going to be prevailing for now. You see him, he picks up the front wheels down to the bottom of the racetrack, gets into Heileman, and the 10 machine gets sent around. So caution for the 2nd time. This one I think is going to be a little bit more interesting than the first one was. See that 10 car goes down to the bottom of the racetrack, picks up the front wheels, and then, well, that car just never turns. Tried to get it to rotate, was never able to do so. So because of that, we're back under yellow. So video title, stream title should be fixed, by the way, as our jumping to live animation doesn't show. So that is going to be our schedule. Midgets are here at Limaland, and then Global Rallycross going to be going to Phoenix. And then we're going to be back to Limaland for the USAC 360 sprint cars. So lights appear to be out on the iRacing safety truck. We'll be getting a restart with 5 laps remaining here. And who is it going to be in this one? Selman has led every single lap of competition. He's had the availability to do so thus far. Can he keep it up? He gets on it early, and once again, Jason O'Jude sleeping at the wheel. We are back to green flag racing here in Dirt Night week number 5. 2 machine and the 3. They're going to continue to fight. That's Jake Melvin and David Heileman strapping it out for position number 4. So in towards 1 and 2, they're going to go once again. And down this back straightaway, they're going to scream. Jacob Melvin in the 4th spot, going to hold it over Heileman. I hear cars in the wall, car upside down. 10 machine here of John Hess, going to get a replay of this. Caution will not come out though. Let's see what happened to him. See that 10 car come off of corner number 2? Oh, he picks the front wheels up again and just gets into that outside wall, and that sends him tumbling. But out in front, with a lap and a half left remaining, the field is pretty much strung out and in towards corners number 3 and 4 for the final time. Austin Selman is going to get the white flag here at the starter stand. And his caution actually did come out just before we crossed the line, so this will finish under yellow. It's going to be Bruce Jones who brings out the caution. We're going to get that in just a moment. But the race winner tonight in the midgets is going to be Austin Selman from Team VLR Club Midwest. Let's take a quick look at what actually brought this caution out. See the car that's down on pit road. We're going to rewind the cameras back about 30 seconds, and he's already in the wall at that point, so that's not good. This is Buffalo Wild Wings number 5, and he just drives it into the wall. It's the only way I think to explain that one. See about getting another look at this. Rewind the cameras back a bit further, see if we can make some sense of it. Riding on board right now with the roll bar. You see he went in towards corners number 1 and 2. And so yeah, it seems like he just got really, really tight coming off the corner. Probably just shifted a little bit too much weight to that rear end. But now we're going to go down to your post-race results here, live from Limaland and also Howard. Just saying, nothing confirmed just yet. So don't everyone go tumbling into those cars. And don't be telling people we're going to be doing it. It's just being considered. So, with this post-race results coming at you, it's going to be Austin Selman who takes the win, with Jason O'Jude in second, Cam Holla in third, Jacob Melvin, David Heileman, Eric Violet, John Becker, Ricky Gerhart, Derek Rouse, Bruce Jones, and then John Hess and Blaine Bever rounding out the 12-car field in this one. Post-race coverage coming at you right now. We are already joined by the one and only Austin Selman. Austin, you get a big win in this one. Midgets still seem to be a struggle for some guys, not a huge turnout. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting tonight. I was really surprised by that. I know I don't know how last week was because I wasn't here, but yeah, surprised as to the lack of cars. But I know we're getting close to real race season, so I know a lot of people are out racing tonight. So, but yeah, it felt good to get a win.
So, something I know a lot of people have been asking, there's been a bit of a request to shift this first leg of Dirt Night over to the UMP Modifieds. The Midgets have sort of had a shaky 5 weeks, and it is something we're considering. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll race anything, so I don't. It doesn't. I mean, I'm partial to the open wheel stuff because that's what I've grown up doing just around here. But I mean, I'll race anything, so that's fine. The Midgets put on, in my opinion, a really good show if you get the right group and the right track. So yeah, whatever we decide to do I'm cool with it.
And now it has been brought to my attention, and this is relevant because we had a Buffalo Wild Wings car bring out the caution on that final lap. Somehow it just came out just before he got to the line. And it's been brought to my attention that you work at Buffalo Wild Wings. What is your position there? Is your position to put the tomatoes on Howard Weaver's chicken wraps?
No, I would never do that for him. I'd actually make him come back and make his own. But no, I pretty much do everything there.
Well, you don't sound pretty enough to be a waiter or waitress, so.
Oh, definitely not. No, they keep me far away from the human eye there.
Well, I can definitely understand that one. I think we all can. But thanks for joining us, Austin. Congrats on the win. It's a relatively quiet race. Really not a lot happening. Boring is not anything I ever want to use to describe a race on a broadcast, but it was pretty quiet. Anything else you would like to say before we let you go?
Yeah, just thanks for doing it, Randy. We can't control who shows up and whatnot, so we did the best we could, and hopefully we have a better show in here in the sprint cars.
Well, let's hope so. The USAC 360 cars have been putting on fantastic shows, and they're going to be coming at you in about an hour and some change. But before we get to that, we still have Rallycross. Rallycross will be coming at you in about 20 minutes' time, but until then, we're going to take a short break here on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive. Do not go away.
Team racing allows multiple iRacing members to team up and race together, just like in real-world endurance series. Teammates can share driving duties, spot for one another, or be a crew chief. Team racing is free, both to join a team and to create one. Each teammate races on his or her own computer from wherever they want to. Your teammates can be anywhere in the world, and changing drivers mid-race is as easy as a click of a button. iRacing features team endurance events ranging from just a couple of hours to 24 hours in length. So, if you fancy taking part in an iRacing endurance race in the future, you can learn more about team racing on the teams page on the member website.
Kyle Kimball. I am the Manager of Operations in the Motorsports Department for Mazda North American Operations. We are at Bondurant Racing School here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are putting on the Mazda Road to 24 shootout. We started with 14 qualifiers that submitted business plans to us, and from those 14, we narrowed it down to 4. Those qualifiers were Celine Roland, Tyler Casera, John Allen, and Preston Pardis.
For me, the first session was just, the memorization piece of the track. I probably was halfway through the session before I felt like there were 2 or 3 places I could push. Now I knew what was next. I already see some differences in preference of how people approach certain turns, or certainly the braking into the first chicane is a little bumpy. So there's a lot to learn, but that's part of the fun.
So as a judge, what we're looking for from these drivers is the opportunity that they take the information that we give them. They can then make themselves a better driver on the racetrack, and then we get to see that instantaneously the next session when we go out there. So we can see whether they can listen to us and comprehend what we're saying, put it into practice, and then see the results.
I'm Jonathan Bomarito. I race the Mazda factory RT24P prototype for Mazda in the IMSA series. We've had 4 really impressive guys here today, all going for a $100,000 scholarship to run in the MX5 Cup series next year.
I'm Preston Pardis. I'm from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Actually, I've had iRacing since 2010, so I'm a 5-star gold member on the forums. Nothing like hopping on, with a few buddies and do a few sessions, but it's great when you're learning a track. There's nothing like physically driving a racetrack. You can look at video data, but nothing does justice to where you want to really place your car, and it really transfers really well. I think you need to do it nowadays.
Hi, I'm Tyler Casera. I'm an at-large nominee here at the shootout, Spec Miata racer, and won a couple championships in SCCA and NASA. iRacing is, I think, a huge tool, great tool for me to prepare for race weekends and just hone my craft and stay sharp when I'm not actually at the track.
Hey, my name is Salim Rayan, 9th year Mazda racer. I currently race Spec Miata. Honestly, the first thing I thought of when I got in this car was how similar it is to iRacing.
Took us one final session, but we do have a winner of the $100,000 value scholarship into the 2018 Mazda MX-5 Cup. and that winner is Selling Roland. Congratulations.
It's incredible knowing that now I'm a Mazda factory driver. I work for Mazda, Classic Mazda in Orlando, Florida, and now I'm a Mazda factory driver. It's kind of my life now, even more than it was before. Just a professional race car driver. That's what everyone's dream is, and my dream has become a reality.
One driver of note, John Allen, came here today mainly with an iRacing background, and you know, it was pretty impressive actually, I must say, how he started off. That he drove 3 sessions, every session solid improvement, lap times were coming down. I was very impressed actually with his approach, and a lot of that comes through the iRacing, and you really see how beneficial that is for these drivers trying to come up through the ladder.
I've just started to watch my son get involved in iRacing, and it wasn't available when I was around, so I'm really captive now about how it can increase the ability for a driver to come to a racetrack and know the racetrack and really have a good feel of what to expect, and we're seeing that with all the iRacing competitors that we've had come through the program so far. And this year with John Allen, and I've already said this to him, remarkably impressed with how well he has done.
So through our partnership with iRacing, John Allen beat 17,000 other online racers to make it here today, which in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment. He showed today that he absolutely deserved to be with the 3 other drivers on track. He showed consistency and learning every single time he was on the track. He was in 3 sessions, and each session he got faster, sometimes by a half a second. The progression that he showed throughout the day was absolutely tremendous.
I'm pleased with my performance. I'm pleased with the feedback I got, the opportunity to get the level of coaching that we did. My goal right now is to make it back here next year, you know, through the real world competition, and just make it back as an at-large bid. I know a little more about the process. It leaves me better prepared to come back and attack. No doubt, you know, the list is long of people to thank. My wife and our dog, and they were just fun road trips. We even snuck a family reunion in between 2 of the events this year, and to that end, my family, you know, supporting me in this. They don't need to understand it, they just know I love it, and that's enough for them to support me and push me further. Clearly, the practice I received over the last few years using iRacing is very applicable. To come out here and do a serviceable job, even a highly competitive job, is almost entirely due to that. So I intend to still be a regular on there and continue honing my skills and find some more tracks to translate that to next year.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race, so I think it's pretty neat. It's, you know, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, you know, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMeritt at the line.
Really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing. Three wide action on a turn two. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation. And there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
So hey, this is the new iRacing scanner, right?
Yep, this is our new scanner.
Wow, and this scans all your tracks and will scan everything else around it as well?
Yeah, you can even scan yourself with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, don't tell Tony that I asked, but how do you turn it on?
You just hit this button, scan right here.
Cool. And then that's just going to move around?
Yep, it'll just do a rotation, scan away.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's real cool.
Hey Kevin, can you come to the office for a minute?
Yeah,
to show you something.
There.
So hey, this is the new iRacing scanner, right?
Yep, this is our new scanner.
Wow, and this scans...
Through the final corner for the final time. Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMeritt at the line.
Like, back again as we creep in closer and closer to the inaugural World Championship. And you know, when a promo video comes out during the week, you can be quite bullish that this particular series will entertain and conquer an area of virtual racing rarely pondered upon. Now, though, we welcome you to Phoenix International Raceway in Arizona in the USA, which hosts Week 5 action, Season 2 of the iRacing Global Rallycross Series. All coverage today is on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive. Track details for you will be up on screen, as you can see there. A track length of 1.23 kilometers, 0.764 miles. We're using that yellow layout on screen, of course, as well. 9 turns. It's a tarmac section for most of the beginning of the lap, with a dirt section to challenge the drivers to the end. And just as you enter that dirt section, there is quite a challenging jump with quite a tight exit, with lap times around the 37-second range, partly cloudy skies. More action of GRC coming up. I'm Jonathan, someone in the commentary booth, Randolph Chenowth alongside me, of course, as usual. And Randy, that Joker comes in at a very unique time. You skip most of the dirt section, and it's quite a quick Joker if you think about it. Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's not very long at all. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us as qualifying is getting its way underway. No times have currently been scored just yet, but when they do so, times will cycle through on the left side of your screen, and we're starting to get our first batch of lap times in right now. But you're right, it's a very quick Joker and sort of an awkward jump section here at the middle of the lap that the Joker shortcuts.
Yeah, and so Chepelevsky currently leads the times there, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. And I don't know if he's using virtual reality here today, but it's certainly quite a thrill when he does. So it's certainly quite a thrill when you watch him on board, and he posts a few videos over the internet, and it makes it just makes this community extra better. But Josh Fox was our winner last week, Randy, and look who's behind him, Bobby Zelensky. Hopefully we get a nice little scrap between those two as Johan Harth now climbs into P2.
Yeah, I think those guys could be very quick. Those guys, second, third, and fourth, the Harth, Fox, Zelensky, all very quick. Fox goes quicker yet again. Not quite as quick as Chepelevsky, but still very, very tight. Let's see if we have any other cars currently on track. Connor Parisi, he's working himself through this final long right-hand sector and the run down towards start-finish. He's a driver that I think could be very quick. This Fusion sim racing team has been very, very good. He goes to a 37.2. These guys have come out of the box really in the last few weeks, Johnny, and this group is very, very quick. If you think about Fusion, let's go down the names just down the grid. Stilian Chepelevsky, I believe Josh Fox is on with that group. I believe Tony Repisard is with that group. Connor Parisi is with that group. They're half the grid just in this race.
Yep, and these races here, you might think they're, dirt night. It doesn't really mean much in relation to the World Championship, but just getting this experience on broadcast too, it just makes it much more, it gives that challenging experience to the drivers in the sense that all this pressure's on you. You want to perform. Sometimes even the real GRC series is watching. And I'll tell you what, Fusion's doing quite a good job over these past few weeks, as you say.
Definitely have. Connor Parisi kind of went slow on his second lap, but he's on it once again for the third. Teammates with Stilian Chepelevsky, who you mentioned, Johnny, takes virtual reality pretty seriously. He goes up and beyond most people. He not only has the virtual reality headset, but he actually has like a proper rig and racing seat that not only does he sit in, but he sort of seat belts himself into it as well to kind of simulate being held back. Stilian, as quick as he is, he takes it very, very seriously. It's very interesting to see someone like that as Parisi's going to come to the end of his third lap.
Yep, so the timer ticks down to 0. Bang, as now we see Parisi climb into P5 with a good time there. Of course, heat 1, bang, straight away. We're going straight into it. And this heat will be Chepelevsky, Harth, Parisi, Zadzon, and Adam Peter rounding out the 5-car field. So, of course, your top 4 from this first heat race will progress to the feature race. Then we'll have a second heat, and the top 4 from there will also progress to the feature. Those who don't will enter a consolation race. Yeah, so, well, exactly, yeah. There's only 10 cars on the grid, isn't there? So there's not going to be a consolation. We're going to go straight to the feature, and we should have all cars involved, which is quite unique, Randy. It's the first time I've been involved in an event where we've lacked a bit of numbers, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've had it on the oval side as well. The oval side works a little bit differently, but we got cars on the grid. They're putting themselves into gear.
Yep, here they go. Engines revving, lights to illuminate. Here they go for Heat 1. All 5 cars, quite a seamless start there, but into the first corner it seems to be Chenowth out in front, and he's, well, quite easily unscathed there through the first few corners. Right behind him, though, he's challenged quite hard.
Yes, Johan Hart and those two are going to take the Joker. You also have Georgi Zadzan behind. Those 3 drivers going to elect to hit the Joker lap number 1. I believe you have Connor Parisi and Adam Peter. Oh, Georgi in the background. He gets into that wall. A little bit of damage on the left side of that blue and white Volkswagen, but otherwise he's through clean into 3rd. Don't think he really lost much time there.
Yep, so he's right behind the race clutch car of Johan Hart. There's Hart on screen, and he's going to be chasing quite hard there. But now the field's starting to spread out here on the 2nd lap, of course, as they head through the tight right-hander. And there's the Joker to the left-hand side. So see if anybody takes it this time round. Over the jump, they'll go through the dirt section as we look through. Now, look at the dust, though, kicking up into the air, making it quite difficult for these last 2 cars of Parisi and Adam Peter.
Yeah, just checked in with them to see if they would opt to Joker. They did not, as Connor Parisi, it seems, has moved himself forward. So well done by Connor. He might have actually snagged a sneaky little Joker in there at the end. We'll check that when we come across the timing beam to check the lap times, and he's going to cycle through. And no, he did that the hard way. So Connor Parisi up a couple spots. Little mistake, I think, coming from those guys, but out in front is still Stilly and Johan Hart. I think Georgi Zadzan actually made a mistake somewhere. That might have been the source for all that dust we saw getting kicked up.
Yeah, exactly, and that's well, it ruined the visibility. It's proved quite a challenge. Here they go over the jump again. Quite a short course. There was a car. Yeah, I saw a car there going for the Joker. The exit of this Joker is quite the hard part because you're on the outside and you just have to rejoin the racing line and avoid any collisions, of course, as well. But Parisi, he's 3rd. He looks good at the moment, and that's good for that top 4 slot, of course.
And it's the difficult thing with Rallycross right now in iRacing, Johnny. Everyone is so close that it's hard to reel someone in and really harass them. Because look at this. I mean, Stillian and Johan, that gap has barely grown over the course of this 5-lap heat race. And, you know, Parisi and Johan are very, very tightly matched as well. Even with Connor coming up with the Joker, he did sort of mess up, push a little bit wide at the exit, but he hadn't lost much time at all. And I don't think he's going to be able to have any go at all, as we should see Adam Peter, whenever he Jokers, hop Georgi Zadzan after who made that unfortunate mistake, but white flag waves on heat race number 1.
Yeah, here they go. Parisi looked good through that dirt section, and that's something you'll see throughout GRC is some drivers will just prefer the dirt over the tarmac or vice versa, but it looks like it's all Steljan Chenowth there in virtual reality who is proving that it does work. You can be quick using VR as they go over the jump for the last time. Will anybody butcher it through these final few corners as we watch them just take some nice clean lines around the right-hander here through the final few corners? There's Chenowth, though. He's driven such a clean race, and he will cross the line and win Heat 1 here. Steljan Chenowth in P1, Johan Hart P2, and in the end, we see Connor Parisi in P3 as we look at your results on screen. Zadzan as well in P4. Adam Peter, unfortunately, though, not in your top 4, and will come home in 5th. Here's Heat 2, Randy. We've got Josh Fox and Bobby Zelensky. What a top 2 there to start this race. Then it's Tony Reposad, Garrett Lowe, and Bastian Remis. In your 5-car field, of course, this is your even car numbered runners from qualification. They're ready to take the grid. Josh Fox and Zelensky again, Randy. Let's hope for another good one.
Yeah, we really need to as cars continue to set the grid. Interestingly enough, Zelensky's in a Fiesta today. We normally see him in a Volkswagen.
Yeah, of course. So he looks different, of course. It's just weird. It's like seeing a player in another jersey on another team, although he's still sporting that orange. As you can see on screen, as they go green for Heat 2 here. Box on the inside. Zelensky got the better jump, though, and boom, he springs himself into the first position, but Josh Fox more than confident to make that inside line work. God, they got close to that tire barrier as they're still fighting for P1, and it looks like Zelensky on top. He's going to go straight for that Joker along with another driver behind.
That was well done by Zelensky to hold on to that. That, I believe, is going to be Bastian Remisi, who also hits the Joker, but it was a phenomenal movement towards turn 1. Remisi's going to cut the undercut, and he's going to take the lead away from Zelensky for a moment. Zelensky takes a tire baller down, so he's going to cycle into second. But Bobby did very good work there through that first sector, Johnny, to maintain that overlap and force the number 2 machine of Josh Fox to not be able to take the Joker. He sort of boxed him out and forced him to take the regular lap. Now let's see what Josh Fox can do, and if he potentially Jokers here, can he jump these two? He's going to go for it.
Yeah, he does. Where's he going to slot in as he exits the Joker? It's quite a tight exit, as you can see there. So there's the tarmac section ending for Josh Fox. He's in P1, I think. Unless Ramisi can pull off some magic like he did last time round. He doesn't. And Zelensky now in P3. You wouldn't have thought that after the first lap.
I think it was that little bit of fighting that happened between himself and Bastian. They just had that little side-by-side moment where Bobby pushed a little bit wide and they kind of went wheel to wheel through that final sector. I think that dropped about a second or so on their lap time, and now look at that, 8/10 out in front because of that little mistake is Josh Fox.
So this proves that overtaking is possible in GRC. Bastian Ramisi, who started last, and I think that's Zelensky, though, who spun around. And he's just recovered it, so Zelensky there. I don't know if that was a half spin or not, but a good recovery. It looked a lot worse, as we see around the outside as well. He's not even going to be in the top 3 anymore. And we have a look at the replay here on screen, Randy.
Oh, not a very good landing. Indeed it was. He went halfway around. He made good use of that four-wheel drive to keep it rolling, though. We're going to check back in live pictures, and actually, Tony Repisard has been able to check into that third spot to that VEC Volkswagen. He's checked himself into a podium position in heat race number 2, with Zelensky and Garrett Loeb rounding out the tail end of this field, coming to the white.
Yeah, this isn't good for positioning for Zelensky when it comes to that feature race, but God, what a save there at the exit of that jump. Sometimes we've seen cars as well, Randy, flip upside down, and that's something that can happen if you're inexperienced in either the Fiesta or the Volkswagen.
It can happen, especially here at Phoenix. This is probably the hardest jump to get right, because the momentum you carry from that asphalt left-hander that then transitions to dirt tries to force you out to the left-hand side, and we've seen mistakes come here. You'll see what I'm talking about as Repisard and these guys come through. It's a fast left-hander, and it carries you right out to that side, and it's very easy to jump over that right-hand side of the landing zone as these guys are going to work themselves through the final sector. Garrett Lowe's going to hit a last sort of minute Joker, and he's going to jump up near the front, but Josh Fox is going to be your winner here in heat race number 2.
There's Fox, so he's going to cross the line. Behind him, it will be Garrett Lowe, of course, is in the end. No, it's Bastian Ramis. Excuse me. The timing screen is playing up at the top of the screen there, but Lowe will finish 3rd, Repisard 4th, and Bobby Zelensky in last. So just a shambles of a race for him after such a terrific start. And what an event there, Randy. That's what we're going to see in the feature race for sure.
It was a good one, and I think this is going to be an interesting feature race. Guys seem very much on pace and equal with one another.
Yeah, well, they're going to feast on one another. So let's look at the starting grid. Cheplevsky, Fox, Harth, Ramis, Parisi are your top 5. Garrett Lowe, Adam Peter there in 6th and 7th. Rounding out the field will be Repisard, Zadzon, and Bobby Zelensky has quite a challenge on his hands here to win this event. The lights will illuminate those soon, and your 10-car field is ready. But look at the front there.
Yeah, guys, very tightly consisted out in front. Yeah, a couple teammates. We got now all 10 cars on the grid. We're going green for the feature.
Yeah, here they go, though. What can Josh Fox do from that outside line? Will somebody else challenge from that second row? Here we go. Green for the final time from Phoenix. Josh Fox again around the outside. Here we have a challenge, of course, as well. Look out for Johan Hart there on the inside in that race clutch car. And here they go, sliding into the first few corners. Who's going to take to the Joker? Many, many cars. It's hard to name them all.
Let's just say Fusion Racing, because they're the first 3 through the Joker. Cheplevsky, car on the wall. Who was that? That was, I believe, Parisi. Oh, dear.
Oh, goodness. He's flipped upside down. So unless he escapes out of this race, he's going to be blocking that Joker lap. But have a look at the replay here. Of course, I think that was kind of Parisi, of course, yeah, wasn't it? Here's the issue, and he just lost it all on his own. And I don't know how he flipped this, to be honest with you. Oh, there we go.
Hit the other Jersey Bear. Question answered. You asked it, he answered.
That's not going to be on any Sports Center top 10 tonight for sure.
As we now look
at as we look at back to the lead battle, another car taking to the Joker, but back in front is Cheplevsky. Johan Hart, though, he's quite an aggressive challenger in GRC, and that's what we want to see. Drivers who aren't afraid to overtake.
Yeah, that's definitely the big thing. You need to be able to get feisty with one another. It's down the inside. Josh Fox is going to get feisty on Johan Hart through that hairpin at corner number 1. They're going to go wheel to wheel. Johan has a blind for a moment, but then it's going to go in favor of Josh Fox once again, and Johan's going to muscle it back.
Yeah, so Cheplevsky all clean at the front. Land this jump, boys. They all do. And they just have to make sure they avoid that inside bollard there, as they maybe will just get a little bit too eager in terms of turning in too early to that corner. Could put them offline to this dirt section, but now again in unison, in some beautiful formation here to end another lap here. Hearth, Fox, again challenging for that second position.
Down the inside of the hairpin he goes once again. Bit of contact at the hairpin. That's going to upset both of the cars, and it's going to favor, I think, Josh Fox, as Johan Hart is still struggling offline.
Yep, and here they go battling again. One driver to the Joker, of course, as well. Where's he going to slot in to the rest of this battle for P2 here? 5 cars battling for P2. And a spin, of course, as well for Johan Hart. He's turned around, and those are his chances over for that second position unless miracles happen.
Well, he did a good job, actually. He really didn't lose that much time. He sort of just picked the throttle up and kept that car spinning around. So he's going to go to the tail end of the field, but he's going to be relatively close to everyone. He lost positions, but overall, in terms of time, when you talk about a train like this, Johnny, you can potentially wrestle some of that time back.
Yep, so here's Garrett Lowe, though, who's played that Joker to perfection, and now he's in P2. And Garrett Lowe's had quite a strong event, to say the least, here at Phoenix for week 5 of season 2. But Josh Fox, he's just trying to get past somebody pretty much all event here today. And now he's got a chance here on Garrett Lowe as they go side by side across the main straight as we proceed halfway through this event for the feature race. But Garrett Lowe again has all the speed there. And in that Fiesta, he remains unchallenged, although he makes a mistake into the first couple of corners. They're still battling alongside each other. Fox just cannot pull an overtake off today.
It might just be one of the things of that Volkswagen, because driving the cars, you can tell that, a little bit of a hiccup there from Fox, but overall he's going to be all right. You can kind of feel the heft on the sides of the Volkswagen when you drive it. That's one of the reasons why it has so much grip when it's off corner and off the asphalt and on the gravel like this. But when you're in those tight tarmac sections, it feels a little bit heavier and bigger and more difficult to make moves on those sections of the racetrack. And I think that reason is why it's favoring the Fiestas. You see once again up the inside, Garrett Lowe gets a bit of a tap, and I guess that's one way to make a pass, but it's no way to make friends.
No, definitely not. He had to get it done, though, and Josh Fox is clean in P2 at the moment, as so long as he lands these next few jumps. And here they go now again. Look at him challenge there. Remise now under pressure from Garrett Lowe, and behind them, of course, Repusard in 5th. Bobby Zelensky up into 6th, having a clean race and a quiet one, but he's got a chance here again. Bobby Zelensky and Georgi Zadzon in there in 7th. If anything goes wrong with these top 3-4 drivers, they could find themselves into the podium positions.
Just as you say that, the A machine gets set. That's Bastien Remise, and he says, thank you very much, four-wheel drive, and he's just basically puts his foot to the floor and drives it away from that wall. Did a very good job to hold on to that, but that little bobble fanned out the pass at the lead, and I believe that's Zon going for the Joker. Yes, it is. Let's see where he cycles in.
Plays it to perfection, does Georgi Zadzon. And where's he going to end up, though? He's behind Josh Fox at least. He could be into P3 at this stage, and he is. Georgi Zadzon plays the Joker to perfection at the right time. He crosses the line one more time. There are 2 laps to go for your leader, Stelian Cheplevsky, who's drove this race cleanly, but all the action is quite a long way behind Cheplevsky. There he is on screen on the jump. Here's all the action behind. There's like a 7-car battle at the moment for that second position. And here they go over the jump yet another time. But wow, Georgi Zadzon, he just has to remain clean through these final few corners, which I don't think he has. And he looks to be under pressure here.
That's Garrett Lowe, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact as they cycle through that long right-hand gravel section of the racetrack. White flag waves for Stelian Chepelevsky, and will Zadzon have a move at the hairpin at turn 1. Through the little kink, Garrett Lowe has wrestled back a podium position, but Georgi wants it back. But where will he find an opening?
So final lap of the event. This is the last chance they have. Driving cleanly through this dirt section now. Oh, goodness me. Everyone's pushing as hard as they can. You can see there just the aggression on entry. Cheplevsky, though, will look back at him as this battle continues. He's going to win Week 5, Season 2 of the Red Bull GRC. Fox behind in 2nd. And there is your top 3. Zadzon ends up in 4th in the end. Lowe 3rd. Rest of the cars slot in behind.
Something happened to Stelian on that last lap. He was only a 1.5 seconds ahead, but he was like 5 seconds clear at one point.
Yeah, we'll have a look and see if he made a mistake, though. But, of course, I just maybe feel like he was just taking it easy, or maybe I don't know.
We'll have a
Maybe too
replay
much
of his
dirt
last
came
lap.
up. Too much dirt came up in terms of VR. So is this the final lap here from the jump, or is this penultimate lap?
This is the last lap. We'll ride it back a little bit further, and that is not Stillian. This is Stillian. So this is his penultimate lap up and over the jump, but that's not where I think he lost the time. He had a very, very slow lap 10, I believe, or it may have been actually lap. No, it was lap 10. He's doing a high 36s, low 37s the entire feature, and lap 10 with a 40.2. So maybe he just sort of cruised it there to the start finish, but Stillian definitely had an eventful final lap. Let's see if we can figure out where and why.
Yep, so celebrations though for him. He still ended up coming in P1, but let's see if he makes any errors, of course. Here we're right on board with him. Not sure if you can hear anything abnormal. He seems to be taking it quite easy though. Yeah, see, he's just coasting, isn't he?
Certainly seems to be, but I don't see where he could potentially be tossing away 3 seconds over the lap. As I mean, he is definitely being very, very cautious though, as he heads down towards that final sector. Oh, this is where he did it right here. He was super easy with the throttle on the gravel. So he just sort of coasted it to the finish. Unless he ran out of fuel.
Ran out of fuel, I was going to say. That's the only thing. It's definitely not going to happen. So there we go. Stelian Cheplevsky, victory, of course, for him. Fox was right behind, and he had a brilliant race, too, in the second position. What a race, Randy. We're going to speak to Stelian in just a second, but what did you think about that one? No consolation round, which, you know, really isn't the most entertaining event anyway, but just going straight to the feature. 10 exciting races. And, of course, there are your results on screen. Cheplevsky, Fox, and Lower, your top 3. The rest of the field was Zadzon, Rami Selensky, Repuzard, and Adam Peter. Johan Hart and Connor Parisi, unfortunately, did not end up finishing. Parisi managed to actually flip his car all on his own at like 5 kilometers an hour. So he'll be on, he'll be on some sort of highlight reel soon. But good event, Randy, though, nonetheless.
Oh, it was a fantastic race. That's actually one of the most tightly contested global rallycross races we have ever broadcast. I mean, Stillian was 4 seconds ahead, clear of the race win, fair enough. But you figured from Josh Fox down to Adam Peter, that's 7 cars, and they were all separated by 6 seconds. I don't think you could have had, I think if you were to go through all of our Dirt Night events for the past, whatever it's been, 18 weeks, 17 weeks, someone do the math, I'm bad at it. I think that is probably the most tightly contested mid-pack battle we've had in terms of the number of cars that were duking out. We've seen bad races typically here in these cars at Phoenix, Johnny, but they did a very good job stepping up in this one.
No, definitely. And someone who did a terrific job was Stelian Cheplevsky, who we're about to speak to now, your race winner for Week 5, Season 2 of the Red Bull Global Rallycross Series. Stelian, what a race. I don't know if you saw the action behind in the feature race, but you drove cleanly at the front, and we got quite scared on the final lap for you coasting, and we thought something went wrong.
First, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, of course, I watched the battle behind, and you know that battle make it easy for me because I was seeing guys running too wide around. They swap places, like my teammate Josh did so brilliant job. I almost crew him on the first corner. On the braking point, my car starts sliding, and we were, you know, on TeamSpeak. I just said, "Oh, be careful! I'm coming, sliding." And yeah, I screw a little bit his race there. He lost 1 position, but he did amazing job, really.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to talk about, though, is you're a real good advocate for using virtual reality. Is that much more immersive? Not immersive, but is it much more fun driving in the cockpit using virtual reality compared to just the typical 3 screens that everybody else uses?
So, I use 3 screens for probably 3 or 3.5 years, and I love them. But when I put the VR, it was like another dimension. I was off pace probably just for 3 or 4 days, and then I started breaking my own world records with the MX-5, and I was pretty quick. But the immersion, this is incredible. It's just incredible. If you take the VR from me, probably I'm gonna stop sim racing. It's so much I love it. Yeah.
Hey, so there you go. You're an advocate for getting it for everybody else. And final thing as well, I'll allow you some time to give your thank yous out and plug all your sponsors if you need to.
Yeah, my team, Vision Racing, the guys involved into the team, you guys for the great broadcast, and again, iRacing for the great service.
Perfect. That's it. I thought you were going to say more.
No,
there you go. Yeah.
We are working on it, so probably we're gonna have some sponsor very soon. But
Oh, cool. Great.
yeah.
Who are you going to be sponsored by, like Hilton Hotels or something?
Nah, I don't know. I don't want to say something at this point, so let's.
I know
let's see
how it
what's
goes.
gonna
It's
happen.
all right.
Yeah.
Nah, cool. There you go, everybody. Stelian Chaplevsky, your race winner, drove an absolutely phenomenal, clean race. Yet again, what a race from him, Randy. But you are going to be speaking to a man who finished P2. Your race winner from last week, unfortunately, came home one position lower this time around.
Yeah, the teammate of Stillian, Mr. Josh Fox. And you say, what a race from Stillian, what a race from Josh. Josh, how many did you ever actually take the correct line into turn one this entire race, that entire feature? Because I feel like you were side by side or going up the inside of everyone every single time into that braking zone.
Well, if turn one's pretty much the only place you can really make a move on somebody, and I saw those guys in the Ford, they were just washing out so high going in there, and I knew I could brake, you know, a lot deeper than them. So it was a good opportunity, and you know, I obviously don't like to make contact with those guys. You know, I like to keep a clean car, but that was a really hard fought battle with those guys, and really happy for Cheppy, what long overdue, and another great run for the team.
And what is it about Phoenix? Because it seems like for everyone, everything just sort of clicked. You know, we've seen Phoenix, what, I think this is the fourth time, maybe fifth time, considering the number of tracks that they had. I think the fourth time that we've had it on Racespot TV. And typically the Phoenix races were just really, really bad. There were a lot of incidents. There would be a lot of wrecks. People, you know, we'd have like 4 cars finish. Here it was like the complete opposite. It's like everyone just sort of figured something out, and they're like, oh, this is how you race rallycross cars. And, you know, the mid-pack battle was fantastic. You know, things that were tied up front until Stillian decided that he was better than everybody else and stretched out a 5-second lead. What is it about Phoenix that you think people may have finally picked up on?
I think everyone, you know, everyone's learning more every week. People maybe tightening up a bit, you know, with the start of the Pro Series. Drivers get a chance to run with really competitive groups more often now, and I think it's helped everybody learn a bit more. I mean, this track's pretty tight. You know, the Joker is treacherous, obviously, but I was glad to have a clean race, and you know, it looked like there was a lot of other battles going on deep in the pack as well.
And now we have next week, all new track that is new here for the iRacing Red Bull Global Rallycross stuff. We're going to Sonoma, which all the other road courses we have are basically just based on an infield course of an oval, so they're very, very flat, very little elevation change whatsoever. What we're going to have next week is very different, and that track at Sonoma, even though it is sort of an improvised circuit, and it is a temporary layout, not a purpose-built track, it flows a lot more like the rallycross tracks that you typically find in Europe in terms of the elevation change and the variety of braking zones and the way the surface changes happen as well. What do you think we're going to see out at Sonoma for the first time? You think it's going to be all glory, or do you think we might see some pandemonium?
That track to me feels like a bit of a roller coaster, the way you kind of climb up and go down and climb up again. I think it's a lot of fun to turn laps there. The Pro Series race we had there a couple weeks ago was kind of ugly. I think a lot of guys were trying to figure it out for the first time, but for next week I think everyone's got a bit more experience, and I think we'll see a great race. That track could be a lot of fun and really racy with that dirt section especially.
Well, let's hope so, because I think it's going to be an interesting one, because it's one of my favorites just to get on the sim and actually drive around on. But Josh, congrats on the P2. Any sponsor plugs? I know Stillian kind of hinted at something, but I'm sure you can't spill the beans just yet.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, nothing going on quite yet. We're very willing and accepting of anyone who wants to jump on board and get their name out there in these broadcasts, and you know, just can't thank the team enough. You know, we got a really great group of guys, and we got to keep it rolling next week.
Well, Johnny, they still don't want to talk about their Bitcoin sponsorship that's coming through, but regardless, you're stood by it with third place runner Garrett Lowe.
No, I would not want to be have anything to do with Bitcoin at the moment, but we'll talk about that another time. Garrett Lowe comes home. It's going up. That's what they said 6 months ago. So Garrett Lowe comes home in P3. Garrett, you seem to have quite an ingenuitive race. Talk about your race to us as well. You seem to play those jokers to perfection as well.
Well, when you're a mid-packer like me, you gotta play the jokers right to make up spots there. I kind of got lucky. Everybody kind of bunched up in front of me, and I was able to get a huge advantage by taking the joker about halfway through, and came out right in front of Josh, and was able to hold on for a few laps. And then me and him kind of battled back and forth the rest of the race, and kind of made some contact with the 8 car that are going into turn 2. I was sorry about that. But.
And you had quite an eventful race, of course, as well. Is this the closest battle you've ever been involved in GRC, or have you been involved in quite closer, of course?
That's one of the closest, I think, to be honest. In terms of, I mean, everybody from 2nd to 5th was basically lined up, and you usually don't get that. Especially at Phoenix, you usually spread out a little more, so I think that was definitely surprising, but it was a lot of fun.
And, of course, Sonoma next week. That is... Wow, I'm looking forward to that one as well. Sonoma, new track for you guys. Have you done any form of practice on that, of course, so far?
I ran the Pro Series qualifier at Sonoma, but that track was not very good to me in the heat races, so we didn't perform too well. But it's a fun track. It's a lot of elevation changes. I think it's a little bit different instead of some of these flat tracks where you have very little elevation change. Sonoma's a nice little mix-up, and it's definitely a different style. You have to drive it.
So apart from that, any technical challenges in terms of setup?
Not that I know of. I'm not really the one who knows my way around this car too well in terms of setup. I usually just go out there and try to drive it. But no, Sonoma turn 1's tricky, and that's really the big hitter when you go to Sonoma is you got to hit turn 1 onto the dirt. It's just such a tricky corner. I think that's going to be a real troublemaker.
What do you think? Are you quicker on dirt or tarmac, or do you prefer both?
I'm not a road course racer really by any means on here. I kind of stick it over the NASCAR stuff, but GRC is kind of like my second thing next to NASCAR, so I have fun with it.
Oh, cool. There you go. Any sponsors to plug? Any of your team as well? Thank yous.
Just everybody at FSR. Thanks for their help.
Ah, perfect. Those 3 letters, Randy, FSR, are letters I do not want to hear because they're in relation to something else too. And,
yeah, it stands for freakishly standardized radishes, and that's I hate people who try to standardize their fruits and vegetables.
Oh, well, 5-star.
There you go. Garrett Lowe, who comes home in P3. What an event too from Garrett Lowe, Randy. He obviously came up victor in terms of that 6-7 car battle.
Yeah, he did a very good job, did Garrett. I mean, like he said, he timed that joker perfectly. He saw everyone get stacked up in front of him, and he opted to hit it instead of potentially getting stacked up into them, and that was a job well done for him. And, you know, the fantastic watching likes of him, Josh and Georgi those last couple laps, really duke it out for those last couple spots. Fantastic, and like I said, greatest race that we've had at Phoenix by far, and maybe one of the greatest, probably the greatest mid-pack battle we've had on Racespot TV for Global Rallycross thus far.
No, definitely. And so we'll be back for GRC action next week at Sonoma, of course. We haven't seen Sonoma on Dirt Night, of course, so that's going to be quite an interesting challenge, although some drivers have driven it in the Pro Series, so they'll have a bit of experience, of course, over any of you who are paying attention to Dirt Night. But USAC action will come up next, of course. I'm going to leave Randy Chenowth to cover that, and I will leave the commentary booth for now. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
Kyle Kimball. I am the manager of operations in the motorsports department for Mazda North American operations. We are at Bondurant Racing School here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are putting on the Mazda Road for shootout. We started with 14 qualifiers that submitted business plans to us, and from those 14 we narrowed it down to 4. Those qualifiers were Celine Roland, Tyler Casera, John Allen, and Preston Pardis.
For me, the first session was just, you know, the memorization piece of the track. I probably was halfway through the session before I felt like there were 2 or 3 places I could push. Now I knew what was next. I already see some differences in preference of, you know, how people approach certain turns, or certainly the braking into the first chicane is a little bumpy. So there's a lot to learn, but that's part of the fun.
So as a judge, what we're looking for from these drivers is the opportunity that they take the information that we give them. They can then make themselves a better driver on the racetrack, and then we get to see that instantaneously the next session when we go out there. So we can see whether they can listen to us and comprehend what we're saying, put it into practice, and then see the result.
I'm Jonathan Bomarito. I race the Mazda factory RT24P prototype for Mazda in the IMSA series. We've had 4 really impressive guys here today, all going for a $100,000 scholarship to run in the MX5 Cup series next year.
I'm Preston Pardis. I'm from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Actually, I've had iRacing since 2010, so I'm a 5-star gold member on the forums. Nothing like hopping on, you know, with a few buddies and do a few sessions, but it's great when you're learning a track. There's nothing like physically driving a racetrack. You can look at video data, but nothing does justice to where you want to really place your car, and it really transfers really well. I think you need to do it nowadays.
Hi, I'm Tyler Casera. I'm an at-large nominee here at the shootout. Spec Miata racer, and won a couple championships in SCCA and NASA. You know, iRacing is, I think, a huge tool, great tool for me to prepare for race weekends and just hone my craft and stay sharp when I'm not actually at the track.
Hey, my name is Salim Rayan, 9th year Mazda racer. I currently race Spec Miata. Honestly, the first thing I thought of when I got in this car was how similar it is to iRacing.
Took us one final session, but we do have a winner of the $100,000 value scholarship into the 2018 Mazda MX5 Cup, and that winner is Celine Roland. Congratulations.
It's incredible knowing that now I'm a Mazda factory driver. I work for Mazda, Classic Mazda in Orlando, Florida, and now I'm a Mazda factory driver. It's kind of my life now, even more than it was before. Just a professional race car driver. That's what everyone's dream is, and my dream has become a reality.
One driver of note, John Allen, came here today mainly with an iRacing background, and you know, it was pretty impressive actually, I must say, how he started off, that he drove 3 sessions, every session solid improvement, lap times were coming down. I was very impressed actually with his approach, and a lot of that comes through the iRacing, and you really see how beneficial that is for these drivers trying to come up through the ladder.
I've just started to watch my son get involved in iRacing, and it wasn't available when I was around, so I'm really captive now about how it can increase the ability for a driver to come to a racetrack and know the racetrack and really have a good feel of what to expect, and we're seeing that with all the iRacing competitors that we've had come through the program so far. And this year with John Allen, and I've already said this to him, remarkably impressed with how well he has done.
So through our partnership with iRacing, John Allen beat 17,000 other online racers to make it here today, which in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment. He showed today that he absolutely deserved to be with the 3 other drivers on track. He showed consistency and learning every single time he was on the track. He was in 3 sessions, and each session he got faster, sometimes by a half a second. The progression that he showed throughout the day was absolutely tremendous.
I'm pleased with my performance. I'm pleased with the feedback I got, the opportunity to get the level of coaching that we did. My goal right now is to make it back here next year, you know, through the real world competition, and just make it back as an at-large bid. I know a little more about the process. It leaves me better prepared to come back and attack. No doubt, you know, the list is long of people to thank. My wife and our dog, and they were just fun road trips. We even snuck a family reunion in between 2 of the events this year, and to that end, my family, you know, supporting me in this. They don't need to understand it, they just know I love it, and that's enough for them to support me and push me further. Clearly, the practice I received over the last few years using iRacing is very applicable. To come out here and do a serviceable job, even a highly competitive job, is almost entirely due to that. So I intend to still be a regular on there and continue honing my skills and find some more tracks to translate that to next year.
Once again, photo finish here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Kris Hohn at the line.
Welcome back here to Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive. And, well, it was a pretty quiet race in the Dirt Midget Cup, like it typically has been, to be honest. The Global Rallycross stuff, that was one of the best Red Bull GRC races that we have ever had on Friday Dirt Night. But now it is time for USAC 360 Sprint Cars. We come back to Limaland. We saw the Midgets run here in just a couple of hours, well, about an hour or so ago. And now the USAC 360 non-wing sprint cars will be taking to the track to be able to do battle as well. Just as I cut down the music, the cars, or the qualifying end and the engine sound stopped. That sounded really weird, but qualifying, getting ready and getting started right here, right now. Race winner in the Midgets is out here tonight. That's going to be Austin Semmelman. See him waiting on pit road. It's going to be Todd Brandt who's going out there on the racetrack. We got a couple cars on track. Dylan Semmelman, Austin's brother, number 2 machine. Let's see what he can do in qualifying, starting his first lap, excuse me. And look at how sideways these cars get. This is what non-wing sprint cars do on these sorts of tracks. You turn into the corner so early, you have to get the car sent down to the bottom of the racetrack, then you need to be able to pick up the throttle. You're so sideways in these machines, and it's Dylan Sullivan who's gonna have and own the top of the timing screens for now. He goes to a 12.299. He's currently on pole position. Rusty Kruger is in second. They are actually identical. Your top 2 times, 12.299. But Matt Howard, he's going to go even quicker still with a 12.290 on his first lap. Doesn't look like he'll be improving on the second one. Wasn't a great line there into the next corner. And no, he's not going to. He lost 3/10 on that lap. Not very good whatsoever. Still a couple of names we need to keep an eye on. Vinny Sansone's already qualified. You have Dave Bodio. He's going to go to a 12.3. So your top 3 names really all separated within 200s, top 4 names. And Austin Selman is going to say, you know what, this is how you really run this place. He's running up along the top. Only driver we've really seen up there, but he goes down to the middle in towards 3 and 4. See if he can make that stick and hook up a better time. No, he will not improve. But Dave Bodia right at the end of the session goes to a 1.76 and takes away pole position. But heat race number 1 coming at you right now. You can see the lineup on the left side of your screens. Bodio and Matt Howard, first and third in qualifying. Then you got Rusty Kruger, Ryan O'Toole, Vinny Sansone, and Zane Scott. This is going to be an interesting interesting set of heat races. There's going to be a lot of things. See some questions about people asking the differences between, say, a 360 sprint car and a dirt midget. There's a couple interesting videos on YouTube there's one of, it's actually technically winged sprint cars, but there's winged sprints on track with a midget. Can't remember what the circuit was, but if you sift around on YouTube, you can find something there. Basically, midgets are smaller. They have 4-cylinder engines as opposed to V8s. The tires are a lot smaller. The midgets are generally seen as an entry-level car to getting into sprint cars in the American dirt racing action or dirt racing side of things. They put on very good shows, but don't be confused. Just because they're small, they have a lot of power. They're very tricky to drive. Also, don't get confused. They might look about as big as a Legend car, but they're not nearly as easy to drive. A Dirt Legend or a dwarf car, for those who are on the dirt side, typically makes about 150, 180 horsepower, somewhere in that realm. Dirt Midget makes about 400 and has a very similar weight. So that's why those cars are so interesting. These bad boys putting out about 600, 360 cubic inches. That's who we're watching right now. And look at the size of those tires. That's what makes sprint cars so fun. Green flag flies. Dave Bodio gets on him. It's going to be a 10 machine of Matt Howard up top. Little bit of contact. They get into each other, but the fight is still on behind. They're nearly 3 wide down the back straightaway. For the first time, they're 2 by 2. You see the 6 of Vinny Sansone working the bottom. Drivers fanning out everywhere. They're 3 wide for a moment again, entering corner number 1. So off down the second straightaway once again in towards 3 and 4, fanning out 2, 3 abreast. A little bit of contact between the 8 and the 6. That was all on the 8 there of Rusty Kruger. Kind of went way up the racetrack and came down on Vinny Sansone, as I feel it. And because of that, Vinny has lost a lot of ground. You know who's not lost any ground on this forward? Dave Bodio. He is in an absolute rhythm. The only driver we see running the top side of the racetrack. The circuit is not yet worn in enough that the cushion is really built up and would be really overpowered, but he's the driver that's hopped up there and is putting down really quick times. Matt Howard has attempted to go up there, wasn't able to do it. Rusty Kruger is now running it, but he doesn't get it right. He's going to fight with Zane Scott. Vinny Sansone is going to sling it around the top, and that's going to be Ryan O'Toole, who gets a little bit of a touch. He's going to lose a lot of ground, so with 3 laps remaining, he's going to go the wrong way. Let's see what happens here. Drivers are trying different lines, getting up to speed in different parts of the racetrack. Vinny goes to the top. Will he have a big run? Yes, he will on the 11 car. Going to throw it back up to the inside, or up, excuse me, to the outside. And Zane Scott's doing a good job doing things the short way around as we're coming to the white. So Dave Bodio, as he works down and off of corner number 2, should be in order to win this thing. Vinny Sansone drove it around the outside there of Zane Scott right at the end, but it's going to be Mr. Dave Bodio who wins heat race number 1. Race results coming up on screen on the left-hand side. You see Bodio, Howard, Kruger, Sansone, and all the rest there after running in heat race number 1. Zane Scott and Ryan O'Toole, the last 2 drivers. 5 cars in heat race number 2. First things first, Austin and Dylan Selman, the 2 brothers, are going to be on the front row. was David Heileman. And then, of course, Jacob Melvin and Todd Brandt. So an exciting first heat race. These guys need to go teach some midget drivers how to wheel, because that was a fantastic opening heat race. And as similar their paint schemes are, Austin and Dylan are not identical twins. But you would think so given their liveries. Usually one of them is black on white and the other one is white on black. But it appears that somebody has loaded someone else's paint scheme for this one. See, Austin is the black number 1, Dylan the white number 2. But you have a couple of fast guys behind. David Heileman did decent in the midgets, didn't quite have the speed I think he's used to. Melvin was there, Todd Brandt very quick as well. So as we come towards the back straightaway, enter corners number 3 and 4. It's going to be Austin who's in command of the field. Green flag flies. We're green heat race number 2 in the USAC 360 Sprint Car Championship. So they're going to roll in towards corners number 3 and 4 for the first time. The fight is on for second. That's Dylan Selman and David Heileman who are going wheel to wheel. One driver up high, one driver down low. Dylan not quite able to pick up the throttle. That's going to bring David into this. David's going to nose ahead. He'll have the short distance advantage here. And they're still even for that second spot. Both sides of the racetrack pretty much even right now. The top side gets a big run out of the corners. You see that as Dylan takes a big lead in towards corner number 3. But because David's pulling a tighter circle, he's able to pull back alongside on entry to the corner. And oh no, Dylan gets into the wall trying to ride the cushion. And that's going to allow David Heileman to slip into the second spot. They're going to switch lines though. Dylan goes down to the bottom. David's going to get up to the top. So Heileman has that spot for now. And Dylan is struggling a little bit, but not quite able to maintain that along-sidedness. And because of that, look for Heileman to get clear here. Fight is on behind as well. Between Todd Brandt and Jacob Melvin, these USAC 360 sprint cars put on such a show. So in towards, oh, who's that? That's Dylan, I think, up in the wall, really struggling. Maybe not used to not having downforce, not quite sure, but he's going to get a little bit loose, likely damage that car the way he climbed that wall. But white flag's going to be out and waving now. So for Austin Selman out in front, race winner of the midgets, he's going to start this one out nicely. Does a very good job, and he's going to come through and win heat race number 2. With your post-race results following is Heileman and then Dylan with Jacob and Todd rounding out this 5-car field. So we have our feature event set. Let's go down your starting grid for this one. There we go. I fixed it. It's going to be Dave Bodio who starts on the inside of the front row. Austin Selman in second place. Matt Howard, David Heileman, and roll off third and fourth. Rusty Kruger, Dylan Selman as well, fifth and sixth. Vinny Sansone has been very, very quick in the past, but he's gone from being someone who's leading some of these Friday night Dirt Night 360 sprint car races, especially earlier on, and getting pole positions. He's now become a bit of a mid-pack guy. So everyone else may be figuring some stuff out with the sets. Jacob Melvin as well. We're going to start alongside him. Zane Scott, Todd Brandt, Ryan O'Toole. They're going to round out your 11-car field. So for you guys who are watching, I know a lot of people are going to like this question, the likes of Blake, Howard, and Adam. Who is your guys, the 64 of you, who is your pick to win this 20-lap 360 sprint car feature? Bodio was quick in qualifying. Austin's been on a roll all night. One, of course, in the midgets. Or will it be someone else? Will it be the likes of Matt Howard, David Heileman, one of the driver out of the second rows? Will someone come from the back? Someone maybe like Dylan, Vinny Sansone, Todd Brandt, Ryan O'Toole, one of those guys? Who knows? And iRacing, here's a big question for me. Can we please get larger split numbers for the 360 sprint cars? We keep getting like 22 cars that sign up every week. Because of that, we get splits because it's a 20-car max. If we get all 20 cars into one server, that would be absolutely splendid. But with that said, Dave Bodio is going to be in command of the field, and he wastes no time. We are green for 20 laps of USAC 360 sprint cars. Bodio immediately goes up to the top. We saw him running there in his heat race. And the 10 machine of Matt Howard is going to fight for the second spot with Austin Selman. Austin gets up into the wall, I think, just a little bit. That's going to allow that 4 car to nose ahead. And they're going to go 3 wide for a moment. Dylan Selman gets into a little bit of an issue. Going to drop a number of spots because of that. So the fight's still on, though, out in front. Need to keep an eye on that one. Bodio, couple tenths clear of Selman. He's a couple tenths clear of Heimelman. Matt Howard there as well. Austin didn't quite get a good run off of 4. That's going to allow Bodio to stretch a little bit of a gap. Dave Heilman's there lurking. You also see the 10 of Matt Howard. He's trying to throw the moves to Heilman, but not quite doing so just yet. People are really starting to use that cushion now. It's starting to build up. We've seen that 4 car up there all night. And everyone slowly moved up there. Need to go to the mid-pack. This is where the big gaggle of cars are. See the 7 machine of Jacob Melvin. He's fighting with Ryan O'Toole. Dylan Selman back here in his natural habitat. He's gone to the top side. You have the 9 of Todd Brand. A little bit of contact maybe. They're still clear as you have Zane Scott rounding out the tail of this field, really harassing Dylan. Really threatening that if the 2 machine makes another mistake, he's going to squeak by. A little bit loose from Dylan. That's going to bring out a caution. 2 cars upside down your back straightaway. Yellow flies here in the 360s, and Dylan seems to get away with that pretty scot-free. Unfortunate there, I believe, for Zane Scott, who gets caught up in that. Let's get a look, see what happened. Coming off corner number 2. Well, I have to say, I think that's all on Dylan. I want to get another closer look at that, though, but it looked to me like Dylan pretty much just went up to the top side of the racetrack and came running way, way down the order, or way down the racing surface. Let's see, once again in towards corner number 3. I don't think this angle's really going to show it. Yeah, I have to think that that's all on Dylan there. We'll get another look. This would have been a lap previous. He sort of does it there. Dylan, he's sort of greedy with the racing surface. He tries to use as much of it as he can. He sort of uses a very wide entry and then tries to really straighten up the exit. If you look, he just sort of tries to coast it right down, and he's really that 9 car nowhere to go of Todd Brandt. So I think that's all on Dylan. Regardless, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. A little bit of a checkup from Bodio, and Heilman's going to be able to get a jump on Sullivan, but that's likely going to be a black flag. I think Heilman got to the line just before Dylan did, or excuse me, before Austin did, and because of that, that 3 machine might just have a black flag penalty, but it seems they're going to be all right and let Heilman continue. The 10 of Matt Howard gets a little bit checked up. And the field rolls their way off to corners number 3 and 4. And off down this front straightaway. Fights out in front have gotten relatively single file. Vinny Sansone trying to run through the field. See him throw a slider. They're 3 wide for a moment. Now the 8 machine of Rusty Kruger, you see cut it down to the bottom and work the undercut. The 7 machine of Melvin trying to do so as well, but there was no doing. Top side, 8 car jumps the cushion just a little bit. That's going to hold him up. And Vinny Sansone, he hooks the 7 car, and the 6 machine of Vinny Sansone is very, very lucky that this is not real life, because that would have been likely the end of his days. As just to build the meme, I want to get a closer look. You see those guys running down towards the back straightaway and in towards the wall. And I want to get another look up in towards at that. Let's see. We'll roll the replay back once again. And if I could just see a little bit closer, it'd be great. And you see right here the 6 car of Vinny Sansone trying his best to work the middle and just gets a little bit loose, catches that 7 car right on the Nerf bar. That was pretty much all she wrote. So, it's a very, very damaged race car. But the field's going to get ready to cycle back out. I'll go back to green flag racing here. Lights should be out on that iRacing safety truck. And we are green. It's Dave Bodie in the number 4 in command of the field. Just a few laps remaining in this one. Corners number 1 and 2 for the first time. The one of Austin Selman is going to try to get a run. Coming to 2 laps to go. He's going to go to the bottom, try to throw a slider. But no, Austin's not going to get there. This is going to bring Heilman into the mix. 2 laps remaining through corners number 1 and 2 for the penultimate time. And Selman has lost a lot of ground. Up to the top, all of your race leaders. White flag waves at the starter stand. and it's all on Dave Bodio right now. Heilemann is trying to force him into a mistake. He's there. Heilemann's quicker. Will an opening come up? Bodio cuts off the slide job, but Heilemann sticks it to the bottom. And will David beat him there? Yes, he will. Dave Heilemann is going to win here at Limaland off of a fantastic last lap pass. My voice is starting to let go, but we need a replay of those last few laps. You see Heilemann really trying to work on him. You see him, he throws it down to the bottom. Look how sideways he gets that car. He hooks it up, picks up the throttle, and that's all it took. It didn't take very much for David to be able to do that. I want another look at this. That was a fantastic move that David Heilemann put on Dave Bodio, one of the best dirt passes I've ever seen on the iRacing service. Did the riding on board on the penultimate lap. White flag here, and then in towards 1 and 2. And just look how sideways you're going to see David Heilemann get this car. He's already pointed the other way, just in the entry of corner number 3. Picks it up, and that's all it took. I'm going to ride on board with Bodio now. You see Bodio, that was him holding off Selleman for a short time. This is the beginning of his 19th lap. You now see the nose of Heilemann down there on the inside. And through corners number 3 and 4, coming to the white flag once again. Then through corners number 1 and 2. He's not there yet, but look for that VLR car. You see Bodio goes down to the bottom and try to cut this move off. But Heilemann just says, thank you. And that's all it took for that number 3 machine of David Heilemann. Post-race results coming at you right now. So let's take a quick peek before we get to the post-race coverage. David Heilemann, fantastic last lap pass. Look at that. 0.05 of a second was the difference maker. Dave Bodio comes home in second. Selleman in third. Matt Howard in fourth. Rusty Kruger, Ryan O'Toole, Dylan Selleman, Jacob Melvin, Zane Scott, and Vinny Sansone, your top 10. Then tail end of the field is Todd Brandt, who finishes this one 14 laps down. And well, only one person I want to talk to right now, David. David, how in the world did you make that move stick? That was on another level. That is the best pass I have seen on iRacing Oval Dirt content. How did you make that stick?
Man, I don't even know. I got in there so sideways. I was like, oh, rip, I'm done. Just finish second, maybe beat Austin to the line. But I don't know, he slid up for something and Bodio did, and all of a sudden I was ahead by like a car length at the line. I was like, what the hell?
Well, sometimes all it takes. You guys did a good job. We've been seeing these USAC 360 sprint cars. They've really become sort of the ultimate, I think, for open wheel on the iRacing service. What's your opinion on terms of being able to race them? I don't think you could make that move in a wing sprint.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they sure outpopulate the 410 wind springs this season. But, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing throwing it in there. I came out on top somehow.
Well, David, congratulations on the big win. Congratulations on that move. Before we let you go, any plugs?
Shout out to Team VLR. Had a good race with Dylan and Austin up there. You know, us Wisconsin boys, cheese is fast. Thanks to Racespot for putting us on every Friday. Hopefully there's a little different. I want to see the Dirt Legends instead of the Midgets at the 6:15 time slot. No.
Well, judging by the driving standards, most of you that just show up for the Midgets are about the same drivers.
So. Yeah, I was surprised some of the bigger names weren't there in the midget race tonight. I was like, oh, I could do it good, and then I almost killed myself on the freaking start of the race. So, yeah, I was glad I could come back and run these and have a blast with them up there. I mean, Jesus, man. Anytime a Hylomaniac's in the race, it's bound to something wild's gonna happen.
I will definitely confirm that. Once again, David, congratulations. I still can't believe that. I was ready to call that Bodio was winning that, and you
really?
Somehow made a mistake. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. That was a little bit close, even for me. But congrats, Heilemann, and good luck to you next week as these cars continue their schedule and should put on a good show.
All right, thanks.
All right, so moving on down the line, that was a Mr. Big Winner, but we're stood by as well with Austin Selleman, the man who puts the tomatoes on Howard's wraps. And Austin, you were quick in qualifying, pretty much untouchable in your heat race, but things got crowded in the feature. How was it from on board that number 1 car?
It was tough. I mean, I don't run a mirror, so I can't see.
I hate you so much, Howard. Okay, we're just going to move him out of the channel, and we're going to call that for the broadcast. That's a little bit of an inside joke. Howard thinks that he can pull one over on me when I recognize most of their voices, but that's okay. He'll get put on timeout for that one. So thank you, everybody, for everyone who makes Dirt Night possible, for all you guys who turn up, and, of course, for everyone who comes to watch. You are the ones who make this worth doing. It's been such a fun event, and this is such, I mean, it's the last 2 races with the Red Bull Global Rallycross stuff in the middle of the show at Phoenix, and then the USAC 360s here at Limaland. They've made sitting through that midget race all worth it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Huge shout outs, of course, to our sponsors. Kris Hohn was unfortunately unable to get here, but thanks to me on commentary, myself on the camera work, Hugo Louis, who made the TV camera packs that we use for most of the dirt ovals, and were in design, Simon Grossman from Aptioneering, and of course Nick Tisson. Also a huge thanks to Estevan Ballo, who does the camera packs for most of our circuits. But be sure to be here in 7 days time. We come back here for Friday night Dirt Night. We know that we're going to Sonoma next week in the Red Bull Global Rallycross. USAC 360 sprint cars, they open their season at Eldora, and they're going back there. So it's going to be a fantastic race at that racetrack. Be sure to be there. Bye-bye.